And let me go ahead and tell everyone it is great to be here tonight. And let me go ahead and kick it on over to my esteemed colleague, the all-knowing, the one, the only, the knowledgeable sidekick, Angelo. How are you doing tonight?
Oh, I'm just going to sit here and let you introduce me more. I like that. That's beautiful. How are you, Jeff?
How are you doing?
I'm doing good.
Oh,
I'm doing good. Had a nice slow week this week. Not doing too much. Well, I actually caught up on a little wrestling. You'll be very proud of me.
There you go.
Yeah. I watched, let's see, I watched AEW, the full show. I watched the full show of NXT on, I recorded it.
Yeah.
And I watched a little bit of SmackDown.
Okay.
I couldn't stomach too much of it. It got to be a little repetitive, and I actually watched Monday Night Raw, and it wasn't a half bad show.
Yeah, Raw wasn't that bad. I agree about the SmackDown. Raw for them to have the upcoming pay-per-view on Sunday Survivor Series, that to be their big kickoff, go home, whatever you want to call a show for it. I think they definitely they did what they had to do to get people hyped about it, because you set it up to where you had all sides invading on the Raw side, and them adding this year, to me, is making Survivor Series more intriguing than years past by adding the NXT guys to the element.
Yeah. Now, my understanding is that they have 3 factions now. It's the Raw, SmackDown, and NXT faction.
Yep.
Now, are they going to mingle them, or are they going to be completely separated?
Keeping them completely. This is going to be like one of the only times they intermingle like this.
Okay.
They're going to keep them separated after it. They're wanting to keep them brand separate. That was one of the big deals that Fox was very specific about with the SmackDown contract, was there were certain guys that they wanted over there that they wanted to keep over on SmackDown, that they didn't want the crossover between Raw and SmackDown like they'd been having.
Yeah.
That's not to say that NXT guys can't get called up from time to time, because what Triple H has alluded to, and I think if he has his way, I shouldn't say alluded to, if he has his way, it's going to be on the main roster. If there's talent that isn't being used, and he sees a spot for them down at NXT, bring them down there. Let them come off of main TV for 6-7 months.
Right, yeah. I totally agree with you.
Repackage them a little bit and then call them back up.
The other thing I heard, and I thought it was really interesting, if this is the case, it's going to be, because I want your opinion on this, and I want your thoughts on this.
Okay.
But here's what I'm thinking. Why would they call up Kevin Owens to go back to NXT?
They did. That was a tease last night. The Raw.
Okay. I thought to myself, Jeff, they spent all this time investing in this guy. Why would they do that?
They just turned him face. They're wanting him to become like the top face of Raw, and because I think honestly now it was a couple of years ago that they talked about it, but a dream match for a lot of fans was actually Kevin Owens and Brock Lesnar, believe it or not.
You're not the first guy to say that.
And I don't know that me myself am intrigued by it. Let me get it and let them get some meat behind it to let me, see where they're going to go with it.
Yeah. Well, Jeff, on the surface, it seems like a total mismatch.
Coming in.
Oh, but that's who Brock does the best against.
Yeah.
I've heard more people hyped about him and Ray Jr. than him and Roman.
Now think about that.
Because, for whatever reason, Brock knows he looks good against the little man because he's able to sit there and sell for them and then just turn around and hit one big move and destroy them.
Like, you know what it is, Jeff? It's real simple.
Goliath.
Exactly. It's the David and Goliath. Everybody loves to see the little guy get his comeuppance on the giant.
Who does not like to see the underdog get the win?
Exactly.
I mean, honestly, who Sunday, besides New England Patriot fans, was not pulling for Philly to beat New England when it looked like they may do it?
Don't even get me started with that game because my mother was having a conniption.
I mean, one of my good friends, he was over here, and you would have thought he was watching the Super Bowl all over again.
Right, exactly.
And I was like, I'm going, dude, this is regular season, bro. And he's like, I said, I get it. I know the implications.
Yeah.
Regular season loss. I understand all that. And he's like, but this is New England. I said, no, I understand that. That's the giant. That's the beast to beat. But
yeah, exactly. So let me ask you, Jeff, what do you think the appeal of Kevin Owens is? We've never really talked about that before.
He's able to talk.
Okay.
He looks like a common man.
Okay, go ahead. I'm with you. Go ahead.
He's not your bodybuilder type. He's not a Dusty Rhodes type even. Because he can move, and I mean, the man can do a double jump moonsault, you know, from the middle to the top and then hit a moonsault press. And, you know, just, I guess you would almost say he's almost a freak for a guy his size to do what he's doing. And
the only guy that I saw, and you'll appreciate this, because especially if you followed ECW, the only guy I saw that's comparable is Blue Meanie.
Oh yeah.
Blue Meanie was
size and able to move.
Yeah, now you look at Blue Meanie, and I mean he's large and in charge.
Very much so. And I mean, I think Kevin Owens, a lot of it is the charisma, the fact that he can talk smack.
Oh yeah.
And it didn't hurt that one of the biggest storylines that a lot of fans appreciated over the last couple of years was Kevin Owens, Chris Jericho, best friends, that culminated in the babyface turn for Jericho and then their match at Mania. I mean, the dude's got a brilliant psychology, and I don't know whose it was there at Mania, but him and Jericho, they put on a phenomenal match.
Absolutely.
But when you're going for a 3 count and you make it to where you barely are able to reach it with only your index finger to break the count and not grab it with the rope.
Yeah, I'm telling you. But that's compelling, though. That's telling a story.
That's what I'm saying.
That's what you're missing. You and I spoke about that.
I mean,
we've talked about that, you know, several times over the last couple of podcasts. You know, telling the story and getting people invested in the match.
And that's what it takes. And
speaking of which, not to interrupt you, Jeff, but this is really fresh on my mind because I saw this last night.
Yep.
Becky Lynch is in the ring. Sasha's in the ring. Forget who. It might have been Bailey. I'm not sure.
Charlotte.
Yeah, Charlotte. Charlotte comes down wearing her blue feathered robe. You know, doing her father's whole gimmick. And she's going back and forth with Becky Lynch. You know, the man and the queen and blah, blah, blah. This whole bit.
I missed it.
You could hear...
I missed it, but yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, but you could hear a pin drop. There was no investment. The crowd was completely dead. What do they have to do?
No, they're I don't care who they are. The crowd doesn't react to a promo anymore at all. They don't pop for them. They don't cheer. They don't boo. They don't do nothing. No, they rather just hijack a promo by doing the what's and whatever chant that they can come up with to kind of interrupt it than sit there and actually. Well, no. What do they need to do? They need to quit scripting them. You want to make people invest.
Thank you.
You quit scripting them, and you want me to give you a perfect example. I'll go real quick, and this is not going to be our recap show. I'm telling everybody that right now. But and if you go back and you listen to AEW or watch AEW from this past week, you watch MJF and Chris Jericho, and they're
classic.
I was, and that crowd was into it the whole time. Why? Because they were listening for catchphrases that were written for them. And those boys and MJF. If that man doesn't have talent, I don't know who does, because
that kid is a master of the mic. I have very seldom, and I mean this, very seldom, seen anybody with the mic skills
that he has.
MJF. The only one who even comes close in that regard, especially as a heel, was Roddy Piper.
Well, you know what? I was going to say Piper, or maybe even Jim Cornette. And Cornette is...
Oh, yeah, but as far as workers. But don't forget, Cornette was never a worker.
No. Well, Cornette said he would have loved to have matched him on the mic, just on the mic skills alone.
Oh, yeah.
And he said, not now.
I'd pay to see that.
Anyway, yeah. So, I was going to get into a little bit of news really quick.
Go for it. Yeah.
Hadn't been that big of a news week, I would say. I mean, nothing real. And then all of a sudden, it was like the wrestling world said, we've been too quiet. We're going to go ahead and shock everybody. And Tony Khan, for whatever reason, decided yesterday was the day he was going to respond to CM Punk's Twitter. And all CM Punk said was he had been watching and catching up on 5 years worth of wrestling, and that he's really enjoying the women's product.
Right.
And that there was a lot, though, that he's not enjoying, and that he was going to address any and all wrestling on their backstage show that comes on FS1 tonight at 11 o'clock on Tuesday night. I'll go ahead and give it a plug. Okay. And he tagged Tony Khan in it. That's all he did. Tony Khan takes it as some kind of pot shot and delivers a fire back.
Well, what did he take offense to, Jeff?
He was tagged in a post or in a tweet that had WWE tagged in it. I don't know. I don't know, other than for a guy who supposedly wasn't paying attention to what WWE was doing, he sure let it be known yesterday, I'm out here and I'm paying attention to y'all.
Exactly.
Because, to me, in all honesty, as the saying goes in wrestling, he sold it.
Oh, yeah.
And he exposed his hand. And you don't do that. Not when you're going up against a master named Vince McMahon, and under him is another one named Triple H. You just exposed your whole hand.
Yeah.
And
in retrospect, was that a wise move?
No, because you are an executive. You own the company. You are the company president. You don't see McMahon getting on Twitter and Twitter beefing with nobody. Happy birthday. Here's company news. Congratulations, whatever, but he will not come out and pot shot nobody.
Now, let me play devil's advocate for a minute. So let's just say he did this with some method in mind. So what's the method behind this madness? What could he possibly have to gain other than the attention?
That was it. It gained him attention. I honestly think he got mad because, this is my opinion, I think initially he got mad that CM Punk had the nerve to tag him in anything to do with WWE because Punk did not go over to AEW like they were hoping for. I think that's sitting in his craw in a bad way that they weren't able to get him the hottest. I don't care what anybody wants to say. CM Punk was still one of the hottest free agents sitting out there, and everybody was waiting to see where he was going to go. And now he turned around and basically gave them the middle finger to AEW and said, yeah, these people who I've already done court battles with and everything else, they still offered me more money, and that's where I'm headed to.
Now, let me give you something to think about.
Okay.
Okay, so everybody's making a big stink, a big to-do about CM Punk being back on WWE television.
Yep.
But let's be real clear. It's Fox Television.
No, okay, he's on Fox, but Fox had to go to WWE to get it okay, and he's technically under WWE contract.
Okay, so now, here's the speculation, and you know how wrestling fans love to speculate.
Yeah, I do. Go ahead.
Yeah, so here's where I'm going. You probably already know, because you know the business. So here's what they're saying. CM Punk's from Chicago. That's his hometown.
Yep.
The next pay-per-view, well, guess what?
It's in Chicago.
Exactly.
Survivor Series.
Yeah, so they're saying the so-called smart mark,
Yeah.
the smarkies out there are saying this is Punk's opening to come back.
I think if he had one, and everybody else speculated when he was there with AEW, when AEW was in Chicago for their pay-per-view prior to their last one, when they did, and I think it was All In. It was I don't remember which one it was. Anyway, there one in Chicago because Conrad had landed him for StarCast.
Okay.
Everybody assumed he was going to go over to AEW. Boom, bang, there we go. He's going to be there in AEW.
Yeah.
Yay! We're going to get our Crown Prince back.
Yeah, not so fast.
And he turned around and basically gave the double middle finger to everybody and said, up yours, I go where I want to go.
Well, true. I mean, he always has, though.
But okay, now I'm going to flip this around. It goes to what we talked about a few podcasts ago when we were talking about contracts coming up.
Yeah.
Randy Orton and various other ones who have been around for a while.
Yeah.
Why would Punk have signed with AEW who haven't proven themselves yet? They could have offered him $10 million, $12 million, I don't care, millions of dollar contract.
Yeah.
And let's just say they say, okay, it's going to be for a 5-year deal, and in 3 years they close the doors.
Well, yeah.
Now you ain't getting paid.
No.
So you go over here to where Daddy Vince has got the money to pay me.
Yeah, exactly.
And I ain't got it, and
plus he's got a history there, too.
He could work out a Brock Lesnar deal. Vince, I only want to work 4 or 5 days, and I'm going to do the rest of it on FS1.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, he's really in the driver's seat. So I think Tony Khan honestly was ticked off, and he exposed his hand. Because Randy Orton stepped in after Tony Khan took the pot shot at CM Punk. Randy Orton came in with whatever he had to say. Then Randy Orton and Tony Khan went back and forth with some real-life, heavy-hitted accusations.
Yeah.
I'll say this. Randy was able to back his up with a news article about Tony Khan's dad. Tony says it wasn't proven over a year and a half ago. It was, something to do with some dog situation. I don't know.
Yeah.
You have to go back and really look into it to find it all out. And then the next thing you know is Brandy Rhodes pipes in there and has a little, puts in a little meme of a boxer knocking another one out. And then Charlotte Flair had to pipe in.
Yeah.
And it was like, I got to give the WWE guys credit. They were taking up for their company. That wasn't a matter of, oh, let's go to war with Tony Khan. That was, you start it, we're gonna come at you.
Yeah.
And you know what? What does it say about AEW's troops when they weren't up there defending the man?
Yeah.
You didn't see any of them piping in other than Brandy Rhodes.
You surely did not.
So that all being said, I think though the other big thing, and I'm really happy for, is Cody, it looks like, has obtained the rights to the Dusty Rhodes name, the Rhodes name, and all character and likeness and all that with his dad.
Right.
He can finally bring all that home, and that's good. Good for him. I'm happy. Good for WWE for even letting it go. I mean, I'm sure that they did that on purpose. They could have been assholes and kept the trademark running, and they didn't. And so for everybody who wants to point a finger and go, WWE, you big meanies. They could have really pulled it out, and I mean, it would have been nothing for them to have renewed a trademark. Nothing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because the trademark something's what, all $5?
Yeah, pretty much.
So, I mean,
yeah, for $25 you could trademark the name Jeff the Ref.
Now, don't anybody else go out there and do that.
No, it's already copyrighted, by the way.
There we go. So
it's copyrighted under WWTF Inc.
There we go. Wrestling with the Future Inc. But then, I mean, he also got some of the old pay-per-view names and tags, like Match Beyond, which is War Games. Bunkhouse Stampede was one. He's trying for Halloween Havoc. He got Bashed at the Beach, which they're going to tie into Chris Jericho's Cruise.
Oh, okay. I was wondering about that because that's been speculated as well.
So yeah. I mean, and again, all things that WWE could have blocked, and knowing that Cody would have probably the AEW and Cody could have went after him, because it looks to me like Cody is doing his best, and God bless him for it, to carry on his dad's legacy under the AEW banner. I mean, to me, and a lot of people have said it, it reminds them of WCW of old. Well, yeah, because you got Cody's thumbprint on it, and who's Cody the son of?
Now, let me ask you, Jeff, is Vince getting soft in his old age, or is he getting smarter?
Smarter.
Now, I was hoping you'd say that. The other thing I want to ask you is, what do you make of the fact that Vince McMahon's personal worth, his personal net worth, is down to a measly $36 million?
Give me my dab. Yeah, let me dab my tear.
You can't see this, folks, but Jeff has a napkin at his eye.
I mean, I'll tell you.
But his corporate worth is in the billions, by the way.
You know,
so nobody's going to have a GoFundMe for him anytime soon.
Yeah, I mean, $36 million. I wish I only had $36 million that I was worth. You know what I mean? So,
yeah. Well, speaking of a guy that's probably spent that much in his career, tell everybody who our special guest is tonight.
Jack Victory once again returning with us, and he is going to be coming on. Last week we had a really good feedback on the show. I mean, I got quite a few DMs and different things of people saying how much they enjoyed it. They enjoyed his stories. I mean, I think I think more people would like to even see it where if I could almost do a deep dive, like 4 or 5 episode deep dive per territory that he worked in his career, just off of all that he's done. And it's like, you know, because I have a few people that are like, well, why didn't you ask him about this? And it's like, dude, I only had him for an hour and some change. I can't go for so long. So
yeah, exactly. So I mean, you know, we have him for whatever time we have him.
Right.
Now tonight, Jack promised us part 2, but he promised us and remember, it's funny because it was his idea.
Yeah.
He said, let's do like road stories.
Road stories, and basically wants me to throw out names to him. It sounded like of various people, and we're going to go from there and just see what he's got to say about them.
Well, I'll tell you what, you just tell everybody where they can find us, give everybody our info.
All right.
Jack,
we're found on virtual every single podcast platform out there that you can download anybody on. We are on Stitcher, Spotify, you name it, we are there. Our main platform is over on Podbean. Downloads, give us a like, rate us, give us a 5. And ladies and gentlemen, it is my pleasure to introduce to you at this time the one, the only, the man, the myth, the legendary Jack Victory. Hey, Jacko.
What's happening, guys? What's going on?
How you doing, Jack?
How you doing?
I'm doing good. Good. It's been a good week.
Well, I got to tell you something, Jacko. We have been flooded in our inboxes here lately. Everybody is looking forward to tonight's episode, Road Stories, with one guy called Story Time with Uncle Jack.
That's funny.
So, but I said, you know, this could be like an X-rated show. I might have to issue like a parental discretion at the head of the show. So we are going to tell people that tonight's show may contain mature content, and if you don't want an education you're not ready for, you might want to listen to Mr. Rogers or Sesame Street tonight.
And as always, mature language, so go with that.
So, Jacko, let me ask you, I want to start this party off here.
Okay.
I have heard wicked rib stories involving the Freebirds. Can you tell me, do these guys live up to their reputation, or is it all hype?
No, they live it 24/7. Just a quick. Oh my God, this was in New Orleans also. We went out after a show in New Orleans. It was the Freebirds. I was there. Oh, a couple other people were there, and we were out drinking. And you know, when the boys roll into a bar, most of the attractive women come and hang out with us. So this particular night, we're pretty trashed,
Right here.
And a lot of these guys that were in the bar started getting jealous, and words came, and you know, blah 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 came, and one of them took a beer mug and smashed it on the side of my head and put about a 6-inch gash on my head.
Oh shit!
And I was bleeding like a stuck pig, and I punched him and knocked him out, and he spent, I think, a day and a half in a coma, and I was like almost, you know, if he would have died, I would have been charged with murder. But it was a full blown brawl in this bar in New Orleans, and you know, Bam Bam was there, Michael was there. It was fun. I remember them rushing me out the side door because this guy was out cold. And I remember going, knocking on Terry Taylor's room and saying, you know, I'm in big trouble, dude. And I was covered with blood from the tip of my toes to the top of my head. So finally, this guy, you know, kicks out of this coma and everything. You know, the videotape. They actually had videotape on it back then, where it showed him hit me in the head with a mug and me defending myself. So there was never any charges or anything, but it was
I'd
good
love to
fights
see
like
that.
Well, now, I got a quick question for you, Jack. It is that you were there with Bill Watts, and there's the infamous stories that, I mean, I've heard it told by various wrestlers, and maybe I'm sure you can vouch for it. Is it true that he would have fired you from the territory had you not won a bar fight and one was picked on with you?
Absolutely. And that was a fact that if you was working for Watts and you were in a bar fight, you better win it.
That is great.
That story is like notorious. People said, you know, Bill Watts, he was the real deal. He didn't play.
And if you were calling a bar with a babyface, he'd fire you too. I mean, he was so, we had separate locker rooms. You know, a lot of people don't know that the heels and the babyface never saw each other.
Yeah,
we were on totally different ends of the buildings.
That was kayfabe for real.
Well, that was literally the referee running in between the tunnels and giving the finishes and back and forth, and it was all up on the referee.
Doing all kinds of things like that. But and you could tell by the way. You know, the heels called the match back then. You know, they were the masterminds of the matches.
Jack, can you tell us why that was? And I've heard that was fairly common practice, that the heel always called the match.
Yeah, that was about 95%. You know, if you were a heel and you were a rookie, you know, obviously the babyface. A veteran would call the match, but I think, you know, not to take anything away from the baby faces, but they had big egos. You know what I mean? So, you know, and the heels never really had big egos, and they knew their job was to get the baby face over, you know, and tell a story.
Shine on the baby face and to make the baby face look better on the outcome. Yeah. I mean, and who knows if, you know, not saying you would be eaten up if a babyface called the match, you know what I mean? But I think that it was just that was the nature when you were learning how to be learning in the profession wrestling. It was the huge job, and you took pride in it too. You know, if you told the story
and you had fan reaction, the boos, the comeback, the whole 9 yards, and it was just self-gratitating, that you actually went out there and called a really good match,
I mean, I think that's one thing that made Ric Flair, as good as he was back in his day, was he was a heel normally 9 times out of 10 in the territory wherever he was, and then the fact that he was able to call a match and make that babyface shine and still look good on his way out without having buried them, that's what made him the ultimate professional that he was. So I think what Angelo was kind of getting at was the Freebirds. You can either confirm, deny, and you can say it never happened to you, and you laid one of them out. They had a habit of wanting, if you were in the locker room and you were showering,
now they got a whole
Buddy Roberts or Michael, not Terry, they had a habit of climbing up over the stalls where you may be showering and taking a piss on you.
That never happened to me. I have a couple more Freebird stories though.
Go ahead.
Buddy never carried bags with them. Never carried a bag. It would be like what he was wearing and his trunks and wrestling boots, like in a bag. So there's this way. This was Louisiana also. It was in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. I remember this day like it was yesterday. And the Freebirds always, kind of were really, late or, really be close to being late. So we're in the locker room. Here comes the Freebirds, and Buddy has this luggage. And everybody's like, well, I don't know if everybody was like this, but I'm like, why does Buddy have luggage? Because he never travels with luggage.
Right.
You know what I mean? So, so he puts this luggage in the middle of the floor and walks away, and it's just sitting there for a minute. And I can see Michael talking to him. He goes, do it. So he unzips it and turns it upside down. And these guys stopped on the side of the road and picked up a fucking roadkill and put it in this luggage and brought it into the middle of the dressing room and dumped it there.
Oh, my God.
It had maggots in it. Oh. You guys are grabbing their faces and puking and running out. And, yeah.
Oh, God.
That was in Baton Rouge, man. That was some fun. Yeah, fun.
Jack, there's a story involving Michael Hayes and Bam Bam in a Texas bar. The story goes that they went in after a match at the Sportatorium and had a couple of drinks. Then Buddy Jack Roberts walks in a few minutes later. They all gather up at the bar. They have a couple of drinks. And somebody picks a fight with them. You guys are them phony wrestlers, blah, blah, blah. One thing leads to another. So the story goes that the guy takes out a gun and takes a shot at them. Do you know if that's that story?
I did not hear that story. I could not confirm or deny because I didn't hear that story.
Yeah, now, Michael Hayes tells the
story. There was one story I think I heard. Bam Bam did get shot at. I don't remember it. I don't remember it. The bar was called Manhattan's, and when I tell you everything was free for the boys, everything was free for the boys. It was a bar. It was right on the outskirts of Fort Worth. I don't remember the owner's name. Damn, I wish I did. He was a really, really great guy. But it did not matter if it was a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, or Sunday. Anytime one of the boys went in there, everything was free. It didn't matter anything for free. I mean, everything was free. I remember we were in there partying, and we always had this upper deck VIP section, and some smart ass Mark came and started getting into our faces, and the Iron Sheik was there.
Oh God!
And he and the Sheiky open hand slapped this guy, left one of his boots in the floor, on the floor, and this guy landed about 3 tables underneath the table, and he was knocked out cold.
No, this is the
shit.
opening credits.
And the bouncers, it was a routine back then. You scoop this guy out and get him out.
I actually have a similar Sheiky story.
Sheiky was fun to go out with.
We had done a local show at Fort Bragg, North Carolina, and you know, Fort Bragg is an Army Marine town, and Sheik was down there. It was me, Sheik, Manny Fernandez, Rick Link, if you remember him. He's an old school guy. Anyway, it was an independent show. We'd gone out. We were out drinking. These Marines, they started looking over at Sheik, and they were like, "Oh, you're that little Iranian. You're one of them fake wrestlers, blah, blah, blah." Manny Fernandez, of all people, stood up and was like, "Look, if I were y'all, I'd just shut up and be quiet before things get out of hand." Now, keep in mind, Manny is one to, he's one to fight if he has to, but this night he's one to be chilled. And they kept on about Sheik, and Sheik looked at the guy and he said, "Okay, which one of you is the baddest motherfucker around?" And the guy was like, "I will." He said, "Okay, you get the first hit." He said, "But you better knock me out." Guy draws back. He hits Sheik. Sheik just like one take punches, turns around, and like you said, opening a slap. He slapped the dude so hard the guy drilled right into the wall where he left an impression in the wall. He hit it so hard off of one slap. I watched it with my own eyes, so I can vouch for a Sheik story of that Jack's telling there. He has some amazing power. Now he talked Texas. You were talking Texas bars. Do you have any Von Erich brothers stories?
They would never, honestly, they would never come out with us. They would never.
I heard that.
I don't know. They were almost like rock stars in Texas, though. I mean, it was like, they really couldn't go anywhere without being noticed.
I heard that was part of their problem, Jack.
Yeah, they were so over, but they never came out. They always stuck to each other and really never came out.
Jack, were the Von Erich boys ever really considered like the boys?
I mean, you would always consider them as the boys, but like I said, they would, not really frustrating, but, they always kept to themselves. You know what I mean?
Now, okay, I'm wondering, do you have any good stories? Because I know you ran with them for a few years. Rip Morgan.
Oh, Ripper, he was one of my favorites. Oh God, yeah.
Yeah, we knew that was coming.
I'll tell you, when we came out with that Royal Family gimmick and brought Lord Littlebrook in, you talk about ass grabbing and ass catching. All the chicks love the little guy, man.
Yeah.
I heard those midgets got laid like crazy, man.
Oh my! Littlebrook did. He was pulling everybody out.
See, I want to know
the bars.
I want to know the juicy stuff. I want to know, like, if you ever have a female fan, like, that just, like, followed you everywhere, like, was obsessed with you or whatever.
I mean, we had girls in every town.
Yeah, like a sailor, there's a chick at every port. Yeah, I'm sure.
I mean,
we had favorites that would travel a little bit, but we literally had a chick in every town.
And did you have any, like, I wouldn't say road wives per se, but did you have any girls that you were actually even willing to stay at their house as opposed to taking them back to a hotel room? Like, they actually took care of you?
No. That would be against the rules. Yeah, that would be totally against the rules. The rules were they can come to your room, but they can't spend the night.
Yeah, well, I mean, I know that that there were certain stories from like a lot of old timers like Ole Anderson and different ones from the 70s. They used to have like what they called like their road wives in the different towns. They would have home cooked meals for them and
do their laundry.
and do their laundry and give them up.
No, that is definitely true. I mean, I know a lot of guys that were in the smaller territories that were making, making a lot of money would actually stay with the girls. Yeah. And they would feed them. Instead of them getting a hotel room, they would definitely go hang out. It just never.
That was never Jack's thing. Now, you were talking Lord Littlebrook and Rip Morgan and you.
Thank you, sir.
There's got to be at least one good Lord Littlebrook getting drunk on a bar stool story and falling over or something out there. You have to have one.
Oh yeah, he's fallen over many a times.
I hope you're not going to laugh at me, but if
I mean, he fell every time he almost got in the ring. It was so funny. He was just a genuine, really, really cool dude. I mean, and he's been, he's been in the business 20 years before he even became our manager.
Now, I got to ask you, because I
probably definitely had 100 more stories than I ever had. You know what I mean?
Well, what I was going to ask you was, I mean, because I really actually, believe it or not, I was a huge fan of that gimmick growing up as a kid. I mean, I was 13 years old and I was solidly behind you. Y'all in that gimmick. I was probably one of the few people I know that was like, holy shit, it's the New Zealand, the New Zealanders coming out. But whose idea was it to put Littlebrook with y'all?
He's been out to ruin.
You said who did it?
Yeah, whose idea was it?
Whose idea was it to put you and Littlebrook together?
Kevin Sullivan was actually the booker at the time.
Oh, all right.
I was just wondering about that.
I don't know if that was the exact. I think it was. Kevin had a lot to do with it. And it just gelled. I just wish they would have pushed it a little bit more. You know what I mean?
Definitely. I like I said, I enjoyed it. I mean, you guys came out there with the furry boots and the whole, you had the boomerang. And
furry boots were the New Zealand militia now. Me and Ripper had a couple gimmicks together. So,
y'all still were new.
And the royal family.
For a good portion of your career, Jack, you were the heel. And you'd expect to get.
I don't think. I think I might have had 2 matches as a babyface.
Yeah, exactly.
That was just doing independence.
Yeah, but you were, the dreaded heel, and so we expect, you're going to get heat in the ring. Can you tell us a story of maybe a frightening occasion when, being a heel and having that heat followed you outside the ring into your personal life?
The Sportatorium was known for people getting their tires slashed. I don't know how many sets of tires the Freebirds went through. I mean, literally, they would have to get dropped off. When they made that one comeback and attacked Kerry and stuff like that. I mean, it was heat.
I heard that that the Freebirds used to have to park their car at the police station and get the cops to ride them in.
Yeah,
that's true then.
Get their tires slashed. They would literally get their. I mean, because there was no gimmick parking for the boys. We always. I mean, it was the Sportatorium was a big tin building. I mean, it was like an aircraft carrier, where they hold airplanes with. Yeah, I mean, it was
like a big hangar.
It was like a big hangar type thing, And
yeah.
It went down into the ground. It was just murky and just a great building. But
yeah.
we didn't have a fenced-in area for the cars. So if you didn't get there early enough, the marks would know which cars you were.
Oh, no shit.
But the Freebirds, when they were, when they were in the height of the heatness, they would definitely have to get dropped off there.
What about when you and Tatum were there with Missy? Were you when you were with Hollywood John and Missy? Did y'all ever have that kind of heat to where you were getting tires slashed or people, trying to egg you?
No tire slash, but you always all our stuff. I mean, meeting the marks outside, it was never, it was never to that level. It was never to that level. They were pretty respectful. Anytime we were in a bar is when the marks showed their asses.
Yeah.
That was just because they got liquefied courage.
Oh, sure.
Yeah,
they would think that they could all of a sudden become Billy Badass and decide they wanted to challenge you.
They in their back of their minds, wrestling's fake and blah blah blah. But
Well, that's a great segue. Like Jack today. Everybody's smart today, right? Or the so-called.
Yeah, everybody's smart.
Yeah, everybody's smart now. But back in the day, everything was still kayfabe, and a lot of people, thought it was a shoot, especially down south.
Yep.
Particularly down south. So I can imagine that you drew, like especially somebody like you, Skandar Akbar, who represented the foreign entity, people like that. I can imagine you guys drew a lot of heat.
Well, Skandar, he had to sneak out through a couple side doors in his day. He was not very liked. He had some really good heat back then.
When you were doing the Russian assassin gimmick and the old NWA with Paul Jones and the Angel of Death, did you try to kayfabe it as far as like when you left the arena? Did you put the towel over your head so the fans didn't recognize you, or did you not?
We wore a secondary mask. Yeah, we wore a secondary mask.
Okay, I always
were out of town. We were out of town.
Yeah, and then because that was something that always fascinated me was about the mask wrestlers, how they put it on like a mile ahead of time, and then they wear it out into the arena. No mascaras. They said earlier.
It's your gimmick. You want to protect it as long as you can. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you don't want to let the fans know if you don't have to type thing. So
correct. The thing is, when we were doing that gimmick was going to the bars. People saw me and Angel at a bar hanging out with the guys, and they're probably like, "Yeah, that's the Russian assassins."
That's when they can put two and two together, right? And then all of a sudden, whoever was there at that bar turned around and called Meltzer up, and they're like, "Hey, I got the dirt for you. I know who the Russian assassins are."
The internet wasn't cranked up back then. So it wasn't really. Meltzer was the only stooge that was ever writing.
Well, no, actually, what's funny is
I remember that prick. He wrote an article about me one time, and I've always had a big ass, and I always, a lot of times I had a J and a V on each cheek, and that asshole wrote in an article one time. He says Jack Victory's letters are in 2 different time zones.
Oh, see,
son of a bitch.
You know what? There's not too many that are very fond of Meltzer. And his dirt sheets, and most of the time back then in the 80s and up until the internet, really, honestly. And what's funny is the boys would bitch about it, and yet they were the ones, like some of them were the ones stooging off the news.
They were out on everybody, yeah.
Here, Jack, here's one for you. Of all the territories you've worked, who's the one baby face that in real life was a real douchebag?
Oh God.
If I have to make you think about it, there were probably a couple, so let's go, brother.
No, not really. Not really.
Back to work, everybody.
God, I got along with everybody. I really did. I really did. There's really not. I can't go there. There's nobody that. Yeah. there's nobody that I would call out to be a dick.
What about Luger back in the 80s?
I had a couple matches with Luger, but I really never had a program with him. You know what I mean?
There are stories about him, and I myself can vouch as somebody who's seen him interacting with the Marks, and even just in general, he used to come across as a douchey prick outside of the ring. I mean, like, I would see fans go up to him and want to shake his hand. I'm talking him as a fan, just kind of blow them off. Like,
yeah, I've heard stories like that where, like he would, when the boys would go into a bar, like Lex wouldn't get out of the car unless he oiled up his arms first.
Yep. And brushed his hair.
Yeah, that's true story.
I don't think he went into too many bars, to be honest with you.
Okay.
I can see why.
I mean,
he was a nutrition freak. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, he wasn't probably big on drinking necessarily, and as much as I guess if he wasn't that big on socializing, then he wouldn't have gone out to the bars. So that makes sense.
I really didn't hang out with him much.
Am I in the danger zone there, sweetie?
I do know that he was, he had. I guess he had his own locker room and stuff like that. So maybe them stories are true. Maybe he was a dick.
Well, what about now? Here's somebody who they say was infamous for the ribs, but they were kind of merciless in their ribbing. Was the Steiner brothers?
Oh yeah, Ricky. I gotta tell you guys this story. This is a good story.
Okay, go ahead.
We fly into, it was in North Carolina somewhere. We had a 3-day road trip. And I know we flew into Charlotte, and Paulie rented me, Rip, and the Samoans a Lincoln, and he rented Sting, the Steiner boys, and there was one other guy. There was one other person in their Lincoln, and this was under Paulie's credit card and everything. And the Steiners, they were into eating a lot of protein, so they always carried eggs with them.
Oh my God!
And I don't know. I know which one of. I think it was Rick Steiner. I think is the one that threw the first fucking egg and hit one of the Samoans, and the shit was on, dude. We were driving 200 miles to this town, and we were literally in the middle of an egg fight. I mean, we were driving backwards through ditches. We literally destroyed these two Lincolns. These Lincolns were. I remember we went to a car wash trying to clean it out before we brought it back to the rental place. We were like spraying the doors, and things were like exploding. The windows wouldn't go down anymore.
Oh God!
Literally destroyed two Lincolns. Oh my God, it was so much fun.
I heard those guys would fight at the drop of a hat too.
Oh yeah, they were great guys.
I'm dubbing it.
Guys.
I mean,
At least I can get the audio.
Watch their matches, watch the Steiners matches with them and any of the job tag teams.
Work it out on YouTube.
I felt so bad for a lot of those job guys. I mean, they look like they were just in there just to tear their heads off and not give two shits out. I mean, and granted, a lot of it could have been just the way that the enhancement guys were selling it, but my God. Here's the story though that the Steiners were pretty, ruthless in that ring when it came.
Give me a fucking hard time.
It was just
they knew. Yeah, you knew that you were getting hit when they threw a punch. That was for sure.
They said if you got hit with the Rick Steiner line, you felt lightning shoot out of your ass. So I mean, I don't know. I don't want to get hit with one even now at his age, but so you mentioned the Samoans. What were they like?
What a surprise.
Great guys.
Yeah.
Right? You would always want them in your little pack when a bar fight was happening, because they were some tough son of a bitches, man. They were tough dudes.
Them island dudes got that right, man. I mean,
we had a brawl right in the middle of Bourbon Street in New Orleans, and just four guys that thought they were badasses, and we're in the middle of the streets fighting. And it was fun. Yeah, it was fun back then.
Because, I mean, well, I don't know if you ever worked with Ming Haku, you know, but there's the infamous stories about him, and he's one of the Island Boys, and the way that, you know, him biting noses off all the way down to...
Everybody tells me he was the toughest one. I never really got to be in a territory with him, which... you know, he was always going out when I was coming in and blah, blah, you know what I mean? It was, I know him, but they said he's the man. He's the toughest one of them all.
Jack, when somebody says to you, give me your favorite road story, what's your go-to story?
Oh my God, my favorite one.
The one that stands out.
The car one is really, I mean, you literally gotta realize this egg fight lasted for 3 days.
Oh no.
You're talking like a couple-hour period. I didn't really...
It lasted for
sit down,
3
Daddy.
days, and these
Go lay down, princess.
brand spanking
Go lay
new,
down.
and they were destroyed. They were literally destroyed when we brought them back to the rental place. It was a classic when the guy looked at us and looked at the cars. It was like, thank God we had insurance on them.
That's what I was getting ready to say. That's when you just hope and pray you had insurance on it, because...
he wasn't... Paul Heyman is not a dumb man. When you're renting a car for the boys, you're going to get insurance.
Well, I mean, there are tales where... I mean, you know, I read about where Goldust, he told a story about how him and Owen Hart and Davey Boy Smith got in a Bottle Rocket and Roman candle fight going down the road in rental cars, like firing them at each other's rental cars. And by the time they got them back to the rental shop, they were so dented up. There was no, I mean, they just like left a note that just said, "I'm sorry." That was it.
You know, the boys we were so crazy back then, where if you noticed, we'd always travel in Lincolns and Cadillacs, you know, because you needed the room. So if you see one of the boys driving and if you forget to lock your doors, you're an idiot, because they literally would come, sneak up, driving 80 miles an hour, and open your door.
Yep.
Jack, did you ever work with the Boogie Woogie Man?
No. He was already gone. He was already gone. Yeah.
I heard stories about Jimmy Boogie Woogie Valiant used to drive at night. And you can check this out. It's all true. He used to drive at night with his interior lights on.
You're all upset.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. He loved to drive at night with his lights on inside the car.
There is actually...
And I'm trying to find somebody that took a car ride with Boogie.
I never took one with him, but I can say this. There is a story at Boogie one time, because of him wanting to ride with the interior light. He was with Coco Ware down in the Tennessee territory. Two of them, they were rolling up a JJ and smoking it and passing it back and forth. And they got pulled over and they couldn't figure out how the cop knew that they were smoking. And then they put the light on. I was like, well, how stoned were y'all before you even did it? I mean, like...
That's so funny.
Now, Jack, smoking may not have been your drug of choice, smoking up, we'll just say. But who was the best at rolling on the road while you were driving, if you ever saw it?
Oh God, we really didn't hang out with too many smokers. To
Okay.
be honest with you.
Yeah, no, I mean, I've just heard of tales of guys who were able to like roll one in between while they're going like 70 miles an hour, 80 miles an hour, and able to still roll one and keep the wheel going and roll it and lick it and smoke it. That to me is just like holy cow. So,
I mean, when Johnny was the smoker. I mean, from the time he woke up to the time he went to bed, he was a smoker. We were wrestling. It was for world class. We went to St. Martin's in the Virgin Islands, and we put on 3 shows there. Sold out arena. It was 3 nights. They put us up in condos right on the water. And you know, of course, you can't fly with that. So as soon as we hit the island, Johnny's on a quest. You know, Johnny's on a quest. So he meets this. I guess he was around 13, 14 years old. Really cool kid. And Johnny goes, I need some ganja. And he goes, my family. And he goes, you gotta get me some. He goes, I'll bring you back some, Tatum. And our condo was on the 2nd floor of this complex. And I remember this to the day. This kid skimmied up a tree next to our balcony and jumped on our balcony and had a brown paper bag full of pot for Johnny. Johnny was like, yeah, man. He goes, I'm not leaving this island. If I can't take it with me, I ain't leaving the island.
That's great. That's great. Now, I'm wondering. I'm sure you never worked with Andre, but there was a big man who you may have crossed with, El Gigante. Did you ever work? I mean, was he in WCW when you were there with Rip Morgan?
No, he was already gone. He was already gone, or he came in later.
He came in after you did. He came in at like 90, 91-ish, and you were already out.
Yeah, I was already gone. I was already gone.
Now, Jack, you worked with a lot of promoters in different territories. We're talking about, road stories with the boys and some of the marks. You have any good road stories involving maybe like a cool promoter? Somebody that hung out?
No, none of them hung out with the boys.
Dusty, but he wasn't a promoter. He was just a booker.
Yeah, Dusty would hang out, but he was just the booker. He wasn't. He didn't own the territory or anything like that.
What's your best Dusty story?
Which one?
What's your best Dusty story?
Oh, Dusty really didn't. I remember being that kid when I was 12. I would always go to. I grew up in New Jersey, was raised in New Jersey, but my aunts and uncles lived in West Palm Beach, Florida. So every summer I would go down there. And Florida Championship Wrestling, it would be every Monday night. They would wrestle in the West Palm Beach Auditorium, and I remember the front row seats were $6, and me and my cousin Eugene would go to the matches. We'd be on the front row, and we would buy our tickets that night for next week's matches on the front row. And I remember watching Dusty wrestle King Curtis, Ernie Ladd.
I can't make that. I won't stop giving Christmas presents to children. I don't want to.
Amazing. Excuse me for a second.
Here we go. Oh, come now, Mr. Claus.
Man, I got all choked up. No.
Yeah, there you go.
Anyway, but I remember the first time I actually met him when I was in the business. I was like, hey, I'm that brings back memories,
Yeah. Jack, you're talking about being in Florida. Now, you spent some time in Florida, right?
Well, I live here now. I live in Florida now, and but when I was growing up, I always went to Florida for the summer.
Did you ever have any interaction with or dealings with Eddie Graham or Mike Graham?
No, I don't know. I just remember watching them. You know what I mean? Just watching them when I was a young kid. Just idolizing these people.
I'm gonna fast forward us past the territories here. We're gonna go to ECW. There's got to be some kind of crazy ECW.
I was just going to go there. Go ahead, Jeff.
You gotta have the ECW.
Where can I start with that territory? I mean, the funnest night was the LA riots. There was this. We did a pay-per-view in LA, and there was this guy that tried to start a wrestling company or had a wrestling company.
They were called at the time Extreme Professional Wrestling, and they were thinking that they were going to be the West Coast answer to ECW, basically.
Right, and I think they all bought tickets and they showed their asses inside our show.
Yep.
There's some seat that exists of that too.
Something happened or what did happen, and I mean it flowed out into the middle of the street. We were fighting everybody.
Okay.
Jack, who initiated that?
I remember. Oh my God, we were fighting everybody. I think that was the night Steve got busted open so well he had to get stitches, so he can't fight anyway, so I'm glad he stayed on the stretcher.
Jeff, he's dissing your boy Carino.
Hey, that's okay. It's all right.
No, very good talent. I mean, his son is looking really good lately. Have you seen his son?
We use his son every.
He's beefing up. He's going to be good.
We use his son up here with the promotion. He's actually.
You told me that last. Yeah, you told me that last week. Yeah.
Yeah, he's
really good.
Yeah, he is. Colby is he's coming into his own, and
he looks like his father. Holy shit.
He does.
Yeah, no shit, right?
Angela, you were asking who started that? That was actually the XPW guys who started
I was going to say, Jeff, who threw the opening salvo there?
But it was.
They started it.
They did.
I know Paul Mahoney was really itching for a fight that night.
Well, what it was there was rumor that they were going to show up because by then the internet was in the baby stages. But the rumor was that the XPW guys were going to show up. They had all bought virtually like the whole front row on one side. And
I think so.
And I want to say it may have been on Hard Camera side on purpose, but I'm not positive about that. But I want to say it was RVD or somebody got thrown over. I want to say New Jack was in the match and he saw it, and one of the XPW guys took a couple of hits, like legit hits at him. And next thing you know, the brawl was on. And as you said, it went from the ring to the arena to the outside of where they were in the middle of the street brawling.
Yeah. I just remember Balls screaming, "Fight, it's on!" And I just remember the locker room clearing out. I just remember the locker room clearing out, and we were fighting. We were fighting everybody.
Well, now, is it true that they used to have that even in ECW? You guys would have to deal with the marks even there to where one of the boys would come back and they'd be like, "There's a fight out in the parking lot," and y'all would go running out there.
Oh, yeah, we had a lot of fights in parking lots. Yeah,
you told my ECW now, and I'm sure there's like a boatload of stories, and we're going to get into them. But I got to ask you, Jeff and I have talked to people. Everybody said, "Oh, Paulie owes me money, and Paulie owes me $100,000, and Paul owes me $75,000." But I'd work for the son of a bitch tomorrow. What is it about Paulie that you're laughing? You know where I'm going with this.
If Christmas came in June.
So,
he's just a lovable guy. And very smart and very talented, and And you're right. If he broke away from Vince right now and started WCW up, he'd have 20 people knocking on his door wanting to work for him.
Well, we heard it. Yeah, Jeff and I have heard that.
I mean, C.W. Anderson, I can ask C.W. to this day, how much are you owed? And he'll be like, $36,520.20.
Yeah, he knows to the penny.
And I'm like, okay, now Paul Ebert opened up. He said, I'd be there tomorrow. I said, what you want? You have your hand out. Will you give me some damn money? He said, nope, not at all.
Yeah, Shane Douglas told me that Paulie owes him $144,000. But he's work for him tomorrow.
It's probably, it's just the way the boys are bred, I guess.
Did he have, were his motivational pep talks just that fucking good? That you could look past, you know what I mean? Like that, like that you could look past, how much he owed you, or look past how cheap he was, or, and I'm not saying he was cheap. I'm just going by what the boys are telling me. So, but it seems like they love this guy, and they would you have to be either really devoted or really fucking good to lay your whole body on the line for this guy every week, to get pummeled to the point of being killed for basically no money, because you guys weren't making a whole lot of scratch in ECW.
We did okay. I mean,
It wasn't what you were used to, though, Jack.
No, I mean, it wasn't as much as WCW, and you kind of expect that, though. They have back then it was Turner's money, so there was no Turner, there was no Vince, there was no big money guys. It was
Yeah.
He was crawling in. I mean, trying to make it work.
He would give the rah-rah speeches as far as it was like ECW versus WCW and versus them, us versus them type mentality.
Yeah.
Not really. And we really never. I don't think we were ever in competition with them guys. But it was our little brand. They weren't doing what we were doing.
No, but Paul Heyman, I mean, the stories, I mean, that, I've heard them told to even me, but he would give these, they say back in the day, and maybe not so much when you were there, but back when they were first getting on pay-per-view and getting ready to, try to, be that third, Fed out there and compete with WCW and WWF at the time, WWF, now WWE. He would give these big rah-rah, us versus them mentality speeches.
Yeah, that's what I was getting at earlier. Yeah. Jeff, I'm glad that you brought that up, so thank you for that.
But I
was not there.
Yeah. Because by the time
Jack, you were there twice, though, right? If I remember.
No, just one time.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
Because by the time that you got there in ECW, that was near the tail end of their run, wasn't it? Right before they closed the doors.
I guess I had about a 2-year run with them.
Right.
And of course I was there when it was hitting its peak, and I was there when it was hitting its lows. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean,
it could have, if we just, I don't know,
I don't know that there was an answer that.
I don't know what kind of deal he gave to Vince, but I guess it was a good enough deal to, put us out of business.
I got a question for you, Jack. Let's talk about the locker room for a minute. You were there, and New Jack was there, right?
I was.
All right. Now, I know New Jack outside the ring. He spent 2 days at my house with me.
Okay.
He slept and drank vodka. What kind of guy was Jerome Young, New Jack? What kind of guy was he in the locker room?
If he liked you, he was an awesome guy. If he didn't like you, which he didn't, I think he liked 80% of everybody in the locker room. But New Jack was a great guy.
Yeah, I found him, and I'm not talking out of school here, but I found New Jack to be kind of an odd bird. He was a great, great guy as long as he wasn't drinking.
Princess?
And he was sociable and he was friendly. But the minute he took that first drink, man, he became a whole different
You know what,
guy.
Rock?
And he became like belligerent and arrogant and like.
I didn't see that.
Yeah, he spent 2 days at my house. I fed him. We had a great time. He spent time with my family. They loved him. He was a great guy. And then all of a sudden,
How long ago was this? Was this
Last
after
year?
AC?
last year.
Last year. So I don't know. I really he was really never a drinker, you know?
He was I mean, the one thing he's always talking about was he always liked the white more than anything.
Yeah, he said that.
Yeah, I'm sure he did, but it was he was really never a drinker, and to be that way. So maybe he's going through hard times. You know, I don't know. He was always a great guy to me, and we always had a great time together.
I got a question for you. Which territory had the best rats, the best women?
The best what?
The best women. Which territory had the best women that you would say? Best looking, the best.
I would be Mid-South sports down south.
There you go.
Southern the South.
Exactly. I knew where he was going.
I mean, I also was 18 years old, 18, 19, 20 years old back then, you know what I mean?
That's what I'm,
I just got married when I was 21, I think. Yeah.
Jack, at what point did you realize that, hey, I finally arrived. I finally, I made it now?
I don't know that. I don't know. Maybe when me and Johnny won the world championships, I don't know. I won the Texas Heavyweight Championship, and that was nice. I don't know. I'm not.
I guess it's all virtually in the eyes of the beholder as far as where you were, and if you some guys would say they never made it and they could have been on top. You know what I mean? In their eyes, if they didn't win the world title, then they never made it, so to say. So
I think what we're learning about Jack.
I never felt like that. I never felt like that. I always really concentrated on having a tag. I've always had better matches when I was a tag team than I did when I was singles. And that was just my preference. It was to be in the tag team.
What happened to the tag team division? Why did they disappear?
I guess apparently Vince don't like it, and I have no clue why.
That's the most honest answer you're going to get right there.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's what I heard. Rumors that Vince don't like him. So.
And that's so strange to me because tag wrestling was such a big part of his father's company.
Oh, yeah. Oh, definitely.
But tag wrestling in the South is huge. Even now, it's still huge.
Right. I love tag wrestling. I do.
Is that just the difference, Jack, between the North and the South? Because there are stark differences.
Yeah.
I don't know. There is. I think what Jack is saying is accurate. I mean, it's just that Vince doesn't see the need for tag teams. He never. I mean, for whatever reason, he got away. In the 80s, they were prominent.
That's what I'm getting at.
But I mean, for whatever, it's some kind of mindset that he's got into his head. And whenever he gets it in his head, unless somebody talks him out of it and shows him differently, He tends to run
Jack,
with.
is it that they don't draw money?
I think they draw money, but for some reason, when a tag team starts to get over, he splits them up. I don't understand it, and it never made sense to me.
Well, you and I agree. I don't understand it, and it confounds me.
I actually heard Conrad ask. Conrad Thompson was talking about this. I want to say it was with Bischoff. It may have even been with Bruce Pritchard prior to Bruce working with WWF currently. But what they hit on was they said tag team wrestling. If you got a main event where you're running around the territory with a tag team main event, you're paying 4 wrestlers and having to pay 4 wrestlers main event pay versus only 2.
And you're paying them anyway. They're all under contract.
Yeah.
I don't know.
If they didn't have contracts, I could see the argument being made for that.
Yeah, I don't know.
But but Jack's right. They all have guaranteed contracts now.
I'm just saying what I heard as far as what.
What I think we're learning about Jack Victory is that he's a painfully humble and shy guy that likes to wreck Lincoln Continentals and caddies.
at other wrestlers.
Sam, I can't face them.
Yeah, exactly right, Jack.
Now, I was going to ask you, Jack. Be it is that I live here in Norfolk. Do you remember Norfolk, Virginia at all? The Norfolk Scope.
Oh yeah, absolutely. What a great building.
Okay, now any stories from my little area here, or you just remember it being a good little area and that was pretty much all you got?
We used to stay at that Holiday Inn.
Yep.
Oh. And they had a really cool bar there. I remember the bar.
The airport bar.
Imagine that, me remembering a bar.
There you go.
And I just remember.
Yeah, they are pretty good.
I mean, no crazy stories. I remember I hooked up with a girl there that used to call me at the baseball game with it. And I should have married that girl.
Oh boy, she was a knockout blonde bombshell. That's all I remember.
Yeah, she was a knockout blonde, and it's really sad that I don't remember her last name.
Well, now you mentioned going out to the bars. I got to ask you. Either back in the day or even now, more maybe. But what would be your drink of choice? You're out, and if you're gonna have a beer, what kind of beer do you prefer? If you're gonna have a mixed drink, what kind of mixed drink?
My first name says it all.
Jack.
There you go.
I drank Jack and Coke. I was not a beer drinker. Now I am a beer drinker, and I don't drink Jack. So on my weekends that I'm off, I drink beer.
Okay, and now that was. I was just curious about that as what was
Jack Christmas. You were with ECW. Do you remember the boys talking about a place called the Roundhouse?
No.
The infamous Philly hotel.
The Philadelphia hotel was a circular hotel they used to call the Roundhouse.
Yeah, they tore that down.
Yeah. Did you have any stories out of there?
It needed to be.
Yeah, it needed to be torn down and burned down after they were done.
When we were in ECW, we stayed at the I think it was a Holiday. I think it was a Holiday right there in Philly. And we went to the oh my God, what's the name of that bar? Oh, that's sad. My memory has.
Was it the Dolphin Bar?
I know it was like Laguna Beach.
Oh, Laguna, yeah, sure.
Yeah, Laguna Beach. Yeah, I knew it came back.
Yeah, it's on Delaware Avenue in Philly.
Yeah. Very, very cool bar. They treated us very good.
It's still there.
Yeah, cool.
Now, so he didn't have any infamous Philly hotel stories there. That.
No, the dungeon in Atlanta. But we we stayed there for years and years, and it was called the dungeon, and there was a lot of shady things went on there with rats and guys and everything. So yeah,
The dungeon is infamous. Is there one?
The dungeon is still up and still running. Still
There
running.
was I'm sorry, Jack. Go ahead.
No, I went past. I was in Atlanta a couple weeks ago, and I saw the dungeon night, and I just, wow! I was like, man, I spent a lot of days in that hotel. A lot of days.
There, you're talking about Atlanta. There was a famous strip club that a lot of the boys used to go to. It was called the Golden Slipper.
No, it was the Gold Club.
The Gold Club. Okay, the Gold Club.
Yep, that's where Diesel was a bouncer before he got into wrestling.
Okay, I got you. All right.
Yep.
What do you remember about that place?
Oh, every girl that worked there was 8 and above.
Yep.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, and it was completely nude, and it stayed open to 4 a.m. in the morning.
Wow.
And they catered to the boys.
What's that?
I said they catered to the boys.
Well, I mean, kind of, sorta. It was, there's 10 good strip clubs in Atlanta.
Well, yeah, Atlanta's known for their
Tattletales. There's a lot of strip clubs in Atlanta.
Unlike here.
All right, Jack. So we're going to press you on it. Your favorite strip club?
My favorite?
Yep.
I'm gonna say the Oasis.
There you go.
That's in Atlanta also.
Oh yeah, it's in Atlanta, GA, Jeff.
I'm headed there tomorrow.
You're not that far, kid.
Not really.
Now there's some strip clubs in Tampa, Florida, Mons Venus and stuff like that are pretty wild, man. They are pretty wild there.
Here in our local area here in Virginia, we are a pasties and bikini bottom club. Yeah,
I would shoot myself in the foot.
I mean, it's funny as whenever we bring in any of the boys, any of the named quote unquote name wrestlers, when we bring them into for Vanguard, and every now and then they may want to go out and they may want to go. They'll be like, "Oh, is there a local strip club?" They know if they go to a strip club, they're pretty safe as far as like from the marks bothering them and that kind of thing. So that's why kind of like a go-to is where's the nearest strip joint, and we're like, no, really, it's not worth it. It's not worth your time or energy. You don't need to bother. It's like save your money.
So Jack, you're a guy who got along pretty well with everybody, and it's evident by the way people talk about you. But there has to be at least that one guy somewhere that you had heat with, or for whatever reason rubbed you the wrong way. Whether
there was, I tried to remember his name, but one guy in Mid-South Sports tried to shoot on me, and I punched him in the mouth and put it into it really, really quick. And he wasn't in the territory very long, but I don't remember his name. I don't remember, but I remember him trying to shoot on me. And I remember punching him in the mouth. And like I said, basically, the match ended. And Grizzly Smith said, "What the hell was that?" And I said, "Oh, trying to shoot on me, so I laid him out." And I just don't remember.
Did you have words with him after the match back in the locker room?
No. He was pretty embarrassed. As soon as we hang up, I'll remember his name. I try to think of it.
Was it a case? Had you just got started when he tried to do that? Was it a case of him just trying to take liberties with you?
I was around a little bit. I was around a little bit. I don't know why. I don't know why. And maybe to this day, maybe he doesn't. Maybe he thinks that he wasn't shooting on me. But you know, I've been in a lot of freaking matches in my life, and it seemed like he was shooting on me. So.
Who would you? You're talking. I mean, shooting and all that in the ring. Who would you say was probably the snuggest to work with? Like who threw the most potatoes at you?
Oh, you always knew you. Well, the only wrestler that ever blew me up was King Kong Brody.
Oh, Bruiser Brody.
Wow.
Yeah, Brody. I mean, he would literally just fight you until I used to be able to go when I was, in my prime.
Right.
But he blew me up, and I was sucking wind.
Yeah, they said that guy could go all night long.
He could go all night long and wrestle 20 minutes and then go and work out for him 5 or 6 more hours. The guy was a freaking machine.
Yeah, Jack, I'm glad that you brought Brody's name up because, and Jeff and I, we talked about this last week off the air, but one of the people we've been in contact with is Barbara Goodish, Bruiser Brody's widow.
Oh, okay. I met her at the gathering in Charlotte when we did that signing. She was right behind my table, and I got to meet her. Very glad that I got to meet her. Sweet girl, sweet lady.
Did you have a chance to exchange words with her at all?
Well, not really. We really didn't have time. I mean, everybody was, signing this, sign this, do this, do this. So it wasn't really, there was no really any, most of our stories come sitting around drinking, at a bar.
Yeah.
And, it just never came about that,
Yeah, we're really going to try to get Mrs. Bruiser Brody, Barbara Goodish, on the show. Of course, Frank Goodish is the man behind Bruiser Brody. Unfortunately, left us way too soon.
Way too soon, yeah, too soon. I'm just glad I got a chance to wrestle him,
What I was going to ask, did you happen to catch the Viceland series that they did where the whole story about...
Oh, yeah, Dark Side of the Ring, Jack. Did you see that show?
I did not.
They went into some pretty gory details that a lot of people didn't even know to this day about everything that went down. And, I mean, that was just a bad situation. I mean...
Yeah, Jack, just so you know, the Bruiser Brody episode, the full episode, is available on YouTube. So if you get a chance to YouTube it...
So what is this? Is this like a gimmick? Is this like a show?
Yeah, it's a documentary series. It was a 7-part series on the underbelly of pro wrestling, and they did Bruiser Brody, the death of Gino Hernandez, Fabulous Moolah,
the Von Erich.
And I haven't even asked you any Gino questions yet. Yeah, the Von Erichs, they did. Jeff, who else? Macho Man Savage.
It looks like every other fucker went down here.
It was like that's not far from the compass.
Yeah, Jack, it was a full series.
It was very interesting.
Yeah, in fact, they're bringing it back for a second season.
It sounds like they did everything on Dead Guys, so I hope they don't ever do one on me.
There you go.
Yeah.
I guess you could before you can do a series on you or a documentary on you.
Oh, you ain't going nowhere.
No, you don't have Gino. He was come in, drive his Porsche in, get out, wrestle, get in his Porsche, and go back home.
Yeah, guess who bought it?
So you never interacted with him much.
That was basically what I knew of Gino.
Wow.
We heard stories that that he was in a constant state of a paranoia in the last like 7-8 months of his life. I was wondering if you had like maybe any thoughts or heads up as to what might have been wrong.
I have no clue.
Hell of a drug, Gino.
Yeah, he was. Like I said, he'd come in, wrestle, and leave.
Yeah, the rumor for a long time was that Paul Bosch was his father. And I think Jeff has some clarification on that.
I mean, I was in the territory when he passed away. I mean,
Yeah,
I know Chris found him.
Yeah.
And it was not a fun time in the territory.
Yeah.
I know that.
They
I remember he did take me a ride in his Porsche one time. I said, well, you can open this thing up. He goes, oh yeah. And he got it to about $1.30, and I said, okay, that's enough.
Yeah. Yeah, we heard that he liked fast women, a fast ride, and fast lifestyle.
Yes. Yep.
That Viceland series, when they go into the details, I mean, his death is still, I think, one that people still don't know to this day what went down and how it happened and why it happened.
Yeah, and
there was a lot of unanswered questions about that.
Oh yeah, way too many.
Yep.
Jack, what do you remember about Gentleman Chris Adams?
Chris was a great guy. He lived up to his gimmick name. He was a gentleman, man. He was a great worker, great guy. But I loved that matches with him.
So
yeah. They just don't make wrestlers like that anymore. They really don't.
No, they Chris Adams.
That was a great territory. That was a territory when I left Mid-South and went. See, they were completely opposite. You wrestled 8 shows a week, working for months, and you go to world class, and you only. It was like a night off,
Right. Now, when you were there in world class, were you there when Austin got started right there? I mean, he wasn't in world class. He was right there at the transition between when Jarrett bought him out and all that. So were you there with Austin?
He was there. He was there for a little bit when I was there. Yeah.
Okay, I was just wondering if so you do remember at least seeing him there in the. Yeah. Did you, when you were there with Austin? I mean,
oh yes.
Yeah. Did you? I mean, like what you saw of him back then? Did you see any inkling that he was going to become the mega superstar?
No. No one ever saw that, I mean, it was just, it revolved into that gimmick, and my God, did he make a run at it? Holy shit.
He took a gimmick and ran with it and made, you talk about going gangbusters. Holy cow.
Yeah, you talk about suitcases full of money. Oh my God.
Yeah, right?
And he's still printing it.
Now, was Pillman down there with him at that time?
No, Pillman never was in world class.
Oh.
No. He might have did a couple shows here, but no, Pillman was the world class.
Pillman never did world class. Pillman was Calgary, and then he went straight to, he went from Calgary to WCW, and then NWA, and then he went, and then they got bought out WCW, and then he went from there to WWE.
I could swear I remembered Steve talking about him and Brian doing a couple of loops in Texas.
That could have been for WCW as a high with Blondes, because that was way.
Nick, you know what, Jeff? You may be right about that.
Yeah, because Austin was only there in the world class USWA area for about a year, maybe 2 years before the American Dream Baby said, "Listen here, I need to give you a quick call, and I'm going to bring you up here to WCW. I'm going to do something with you."
He loves to do his Dusty impression.
That's exactly what Dusty told me when he wanted to bring me in as the Russian assassin.
Listen here, baby, I got a great gimmick for you.
Good kid.
Love it.
Now, Tony Schiavone told Cody the infamous story, and I'm sure you'll confirm it. He said that Dusty used to have a habit of sitting around the locker room with just his hat, his cowboy hat, and his boots, and nothing else on.
That is absolutely 110% true. And not just sit around, walk around the locker room and walk around the back of the building.
We heard that. We heard that story, so it's been confirmed by Jack Victory, folks.
That is 110% true.
If Jacko says it's true, it's true. Count on it.
I gotta ask you, I mean, this has nothing to do with the boys or anything like that, but do you currently watch any of the current day product?
On YouTube, I catch up on a little bit of the things, but I just don't have time. I really don't.
I didn't expect you to really say that you did, because a lot of guys, I mean, it's like, once they get out of it and you got your quote unquote regular shoot job after that, and you're doing your own thing, you don't have time, and B, it's almost like you don't want that bug to bite you again necessarily, like where you're going, damn,
I like the new stuff that's coming out with the Rhodes boys and stuff like that. I like that. It's got a little bit of old school, a little bit of ECW mixed in there, a little bit of, I like that. I like different. I like different.
I've told Angelo the new promotion there, AEW, that's the one run by Cody and Dustin has a hand in it as far as like helping out with the promos and behind the scenes and all that good stuff. But I mean, they have an old WCW, but their fans almost got an ECW type feel as far as like their loyalty to that product. And I mean, when they're chanting the Fed's names of AEW and not chanting the wrestler that says something about it, you know what I mean?
Yeah, well, look, they did the same thing with ECW, right, Jack?
That's my point. That's what I was getting at, was the fans have that same kind of thing, the feel of the audience is like of that the audience loves the Fed over one particular wrestler. It's like they love them as a group, as a whole, is what I was getting at, like they did ECW.
Jack, the last show we did, you laid some info on us that Jeff and I did not expect, which was that you've never been formally trained.
Yeah.
So here's a question I have. Okay, the Performance Center in Florida, where Steve Carino had a part in. They're training guys, anywhere from 50 to 60 guys at a time, with the same methodology, doing the same moves, teaching them how to do scripted promos. Do you think that really benefits the product today, or does it really hurt it? Because Jeff and I have had this back and forth banter. Jeff's contention is that it readies them to go to the main roster. My contention has always been it's cookie cutter wrestling.
Well, I mean, I'm going to take this to my death. Is that if it's not in your blood and you don't know the background of wrestling, you would never make it in this business.
You can't
believe that. I spent a week down at the Performance Center, and there's a lot of talent down there, but there's also guys down there that are built like brick shithouses that don't even have a clue.
Yeah.
They don't have a clue, and they will never, ever make it in this business. And that's just
Jeff and I have had that discussion, and Jeff, has that viewpoint that it's the stepping stone to the next, to the main roster. And I still contend that, to me, it looks like, cookie cutter wrestling. They're all doing the
I've
same.
never argued that they're not the same.
This way.
I said that they got a
I
little
honestly,
change.
when they took away when they took away from the heel calling the match and did everything scripted, it took a big chunk out of the excitement of pro wrestling, because you don't know when you have a scripted match. You go out there like little robots and you do your little scripted match.
Exactly.
You don't know how the fans are going to react to it. And you go out there and have a chin lock for 5 minutes, and the fans react to it really well.
Well, there you go. Now
You go out there like robots, and you put on this scripted thing. And I just think the fans are smart to it.
Yeah, and you know what's funny? Right along the same lines, Jack, with what you're talking about, Johnny Valentine, Greg the Hammer's dad, would put you in like an arm bar for 5-6 minutes, and then if the people started booing, he'd keep it on longer.
Yeah. I mean, it was your job as a heel was to get those fans riled up and to make that babyface shine.
Yeah, and now it's not
2 hours.
To me, it's nothing more than a spot fest.
There you go. But
It was
here's
a long
the
show
difference.
last night.
This is what I was going to get at. It's not that the matches are scripted as much as it is that the boys in the back, and any of them will tell you this, because I'm sure you saw this with your own eyes. You were down there at the PC, Jack. They will go, the boys, the wrestlers, they will go over their
2 hours
match
and
for 10,
6
15,
minutes.
20, 30 minutes
And
or
51
more before they go out there to do their match. It's
I
not
hardly
that they're
did any
being
calling
told,
last night.
hammerlock here, drop toe hold there, and following a script like you're following a play script.
I know, and that's why I think WWE is so stale right now. It's just so stale.
It is.
Exactly. It used to be, and Jack, you know this from experience, brother. You call it in the ring, and you can go anywhere you want with it.
You know the person, and you're right about there's way too many spots. There's way too many spots.
Oh yeah, it's a spot fest. It's crazy. Somebody's good. These kids. My contention has always been that they are shortening their career life, their shelf life by light years, because they're putting their bodies at risk unnecessarily, needlessly, for a 10-second pop, if they even get 10 seconds out of it. For what?
Yeah.
To do a moonsault, off the top rope into the crowd? For what? For what purpose?
Even crazier.
To show people that you can? So we know you can do a moonsault off the top rope. Who gives a shit?
Well,
I mean, I don't know. It's hard to turn it back.
Yeah, and
it's gone way too over that edge where old school wrestling is pretty much dead. I don't think it can ever come back.
Well, I think AEW is at least trying, and I'll give them kudos for trying.
It is, and it does look a little bit more less robotic.
Yeah.
So
you're not cookie cutter.
Yeah, that new AEW, it's if there were like a hybrid between ECW and the NWA, you'd end up with AEW.
With a little bit of WCW mixed in.
I know.
Yeah, I can see that, Jeff. Absolutely. Jeff, you have any more questions for Jack before we let him go?
I was just going to ask you really quick, what was your opinion of the Performance Center? You said you were there for a week. What was your opinion?
It's freaking unbelievable. I mean, it's really, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's 5 rings.
Sally Starr.
There's a
Sally
weight room.
Starr.
I mean,
I worked with her years ago.
There's rooms upstairs with thousands and thousands of tapes of interviews and stuff like that.
Yeah, I did a
They
commercial
always
with
go
them.
over promos every day. You know, it's quite a place. It's quite a place for a young buck to learn this profession.
I
You know,
think
I just wish they would teach them. I just wish they would teach them to call the match.
I think
And
if Dusty,
you would learn the business so much more.
yeah, and you know what, Jack, I think that if Dusty were still there, it would be a very different product than what we're seeing today. You know, Dusty he had his fingerprints all over that place.
He did, but he was right here.
You know,
Right.
if they would, when they start these young kids, if they would make, you know, like I just said, if they would make the heels call a match and not let them go over shit.
There you go.
You would literally have to go in and call a match.
Yeah.
And get this baby face over. Let's see what you got. Go do it.
I think that's the key is to more or less handcuff them from being able to call it in the back ahead of time and say, you guys got to go out there and actually feel your audience. Whether it's your peers.
You watched him train. You know what he can do. Go call it in the ring.
Yep. And I
would think it would make them appreciate the business a little bit more as an art.
There you go.
Instead of a robots, you know, let's call everything. Like I said, man, when I was first broke in, I didn't get to see the heel. I mean, the baby faces.
Yeah.
It was always you know, talk to the ref, go over finishes and stuff like that, and you know, back and forth with the ref. So, you know,
I mean, I can relate. You know, when I got started as a referee, and now you got to think I got started in 1998, years after you, but it was still 1998. I would be the only referee for a whole show. I'd be out there for an hour and a half, having only been in the back at the very beginning of the night. So match 2, 3, 4, 5, I may not even know your damn finish until you guys came out there and told me.
Yeah.
Right.
And that's the difference between, I think, a lot of what they do today versus what even I was doing, because they would call it in the ring, or I would even call spots. You know, they would relay it to me to relay to whoever. You know, you're over there taking a rest in the corner. Go tell them leapfrog down the clothesline, okay? You know, that kind of shit. I don't think they do it anymore. I don't think that I don't know if they don't know how, or they lost it, or they're scared. You know, the younger guys have just, you know, have got so used to, you know, in the back of just, okay, this is what we're going to, it's the psychology of what we were talking about. They don't even know how to listen to that crowd to know if they're behind a match. That's
Bingo. You just said the magic word.
You know, they don't. They completely shut the crowd out, where that's who you're entertaining. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's the crowd that's entertaining. But if that one move worked, why wouldn't you go off script and work around that same type of move? You know what I just think, I don't understand it, and I never will. You know, I just don't like the robotic.
Right. Well, I mean, even Vince McMahon says it's better to ask for forgiveness than permission. So, in other words, go out there and do it. And if you do it and you screw up, well, look, at least the only thing you can do is ask for forgiveness.
Well, no, I mean, everything on TV's script right down to the second nowadays.
Yeah, and that's a shame, too.
Corporate.
It really is.
It's so corporate. It's so corporate. It drives me crazy.
Well, you can blame that on big money now, you know.
Oh yeah, that's the bottom line. Is it's a money business now. You know, it's not wrestling. Vince don't like you calling it wrestling.
Well, there's the other part. That's a dirty word to him.
You know what, Jack? That's why
I think that other group is starting to. I mean, they're selling out shows in less than 10 minutes. You know what I mean? They're doing really well. So we'll wait to see what happens.
Yep. Well, Jack, I think we're gonna wrap it up here for the night.
Okay, guys. I appreciate it, and you guys take care.
I would love to have you come
all
back.
All right, thank you, Jack.
What's that?
I said I would love to have you come back on here again soon, Jack.
Okay, whenever, let me know. Just The fans are probably sick of me by now, so we give it about a month and we'll talk again.
All right, sounds good, brother.
All right, guys.
All right, Jack. Thank you so much.
All right, guys.
Be talking to you soon. Take care.
Fans, ladies and gentlemen, that was our pleasure once again to have had the honor of talking with the one, the only Jack Victory, or Jacko, as we called him a couple times, Angelo. The Jacko name comes from when he was, well, a lot of guys refer to him as Jacko, but I think a lot of that comes from this time of doing the Royal Family New Zealand Militia. His name was Jacko Victory there, I guess to make him sound Australian. But he, great guy, fantastic, humble. Humble is a great word for him.
Yeah.
You know, and to his
It's hard
credit,
to imagine, Jeff, being a heel wrestler that never had heat with anybody.
no, this is what I was going to say. To his credit, and I know we tried taking him down that hole a few times. We gave him ample opportunity.
I tried, brother.
And you know what? People can't get mad at us because we did do our darndest to try to get him to give it. Not that he wasn't willing to give the story, because he gave us plenty of meat there. But he was not going to divulge but so much, and God bless him for it.
Yeah.
I mean, that right there, that to me, that's, as you would say, that's part of the boys' mentality.
Yeah. Tried to get him to reveal some juicy tidbits, but he just wouldn't bite.
You know what? And part of that, again, though, is, and I think you know this, you're not going to bury him but so much, because you never, he didn't come right out there until the very end, but you heard him say he was at the PC for a week.
Yeah.
He doesn't know. He doesn't know who may get wind of what our podcast is doing and saying, and so I mean, hey, you know what though? That story about the egg fight for 3 days, that is hilarious. I can just imagine egg yolk, eggs. That car had to be smelling the foulest that it ever.
Oh my God, I can just imagine. 3 days with the Steiners and cartons of eggs.
And
Can you imagine?
The Steiners were flowing, and oh my God! So he definitely he's a good guy. I like him a lot. I really enjoyed it. I know that we got coming up. If I'm not mistaken, tomorrow we got Rico.
With Rico.
Go ahead, tell the fans what's going on with that.
Yes, we will have Rico Constantino. He's working out his schedule. So Rico does have a shoe job.
Yeah.
And he just switched his schedule up, so we will be talking to Rico just as soon as he works it into his schedule. But we have a definite firm commitment from former WWE, WWF star, and EWF star Rico Constantino. It's a fascinating story to tell, and I'll tell you what an inspiration this man is. You can hear a bit of a teaser if you go to our Podbean, Stitcher, Spotify, our Google Play, iHearts, and iTunes. There's a link up that Rico and I had a phone call, and with his permission, I put it up. And listen to that phone call. You'll get just a taste of what you'll hear in our interview. We are trying to get Leapin' Lanny Poffo, the genius, on the show. We've got feelers out to Lanny Poffo and Mrs. Bruiser Brody, Barbara Goodish.
We got a few out there of people that we're talking to.
Let's see, I will tell you right now, we have a commitment from when we will record the show on December the 4th. December the 4th, we will have hardcore icon and legend, Bulldozer Matt Tremont from CZW.
Awesome.
A CZW original, talking all things hardcore. And that's a definite commitment. We will be recording on Tuesday the 3rd, and that show will drop on Wednesday, December the 4th.
Now, real quick, I want to tell the fans, of course, I'm going to push VCW.
Absolutely.
And I showed, over the week, this past week, I showed Angelo the main event from our last show, which was Gino, the champion, the heavyweight champion, who just signed with MLW for a multi-year contract, by the way. So I don't know how much longer we're going to have him with us, but you know,
Right.
anyway, he was facing, and you know, he's facing a kid from CZW. I can't remember the kid's name right offhand. Anyway, I would encourage the fans to go to the YouTube Vanguard Championship Wrestling link and look it up. But it's what did you think of the match, Angelo?
I thought it's funny, it was a great match, but it was very old school in feel. It felt like an old school match, but with just enough high spots. It wasn't a spot fest, which I appreciated. Some decent actual wrestling, which was surprising. Yeah, from some young guys, it was really surprising that they actually wrestled.
Yep.
I enjoyed it. I really did. And I encourage everybody. It's Vanguard Championship Wrestling.
Yep.
You can catch them on YouTube. And the website is what? VCW.com or Vanguard?
VCW-wrestling.com. And our next show is coming up December the 7th. It's going to be there in Norfolk at the Masonic Temple, which is a great venue to go watch wrestling.
And you have a special guest coming that night.
We do. I would encourage anybody, if you're within even 100 miles driving distance to try to make the show, it's going to be with the one, the only, the hardcore legend, and WWE Hall of Famer Mick Foley will be coming, Mr. Bang Bang himself. I mean, this is what I'm looking forward to working that show. He is, he's just an amazing guy. And, you know, fans, you want a chance to actually get a chance to meet a hero, meet one of your wrestling legends, this is your chance. You know, we're doing, I believe it's a $50 meet and greet with a photo and autograph package, so you can get your picture taken and have something signed by him as well.
Right.
It's not a bad deal. Most of these days, that's what you're going to pay if you go to any of these fan fests. You're going to stand in line and pay that kind of good money anyway. So, yeah, I mean, we're looking forward to having that. And once again, VCW-wrestling.com. You can order tickets there. You can find them on Facebook at Vanguard Championship Wrestling. And, you know, that I would encourage anybody, like I said, 100 miles, even 200 miles driving distance. I mean, if you got the time or whatever, come on down. Love to have you.
Absolutely.
So,
and if you're in the New Jersey area,
yeah,
in South Jersey, I encourage everybody to check out Dog Championship Wrestling. It's DAWD. It's the Dangerous Adrenaline Wrestling Gladiators. That's an NWA affiliate. It's Dog Championship Wrestling, December 27th. At the Max Fit Sports Center in Glassboro, New Jersey, J.J. Dillon, Tatanka, Flying Brian Pillman Jr., and it's a fundraiser for Toys for Tots. So bring your canned goods, bring your goods there. It's a benefit show. It's called Hero for the Holidays. So check that out on the NWA Dog site. It's easy to find. Just type in DAWG Wrestling, and you will find them. So, Jeff, what else you got going on?
That's pretty much it. I was going to say, I think we're going to try to get me and Mike to do another round table with you either Thursday or Friday, whatever he's got available.
Yes, we are going to do a show on the lost art of the wrestling promo.
Okay.
Old Joe. That ought to be a good one.
That is going to be
Mike's got some real strong opinions on that one.
Mike has very strong opinions on a lot of stuff. That's one reason why I like him.
Yes, he does.
I like him a lot. And I
want to tell everybody, Jeff.
Yeah.
That check out Mike Messier, our partner here at Wrestling with the Future. He is right now a featured guest on Monty and the Pharaoh podcast on YouTube.
Yep.
Monty and the Pharaoh with Mike Messier. He's on the entire show, so check him out, and you will not be disappointed. Mike's a very opinionated guy. He looks like a very shy guy. Trust me, he's not.
Good way to put it.
All right, so what else, Jeff, before you wrap the thing up?
That's pretty much it. I'm going to be watching WWE backstage tonight at 11, and staying at front of all things wrestling. As it happens, I'm there to keep our fans abreast of everything that's going on in the wrestling world today.
Yeah.
And like I said, I put this out there on my Facebook page, and I'll say this: if you are a listener of our show, we will have you come on, whether you are, whether you're in the wrestling business or not. If you got something fascinating to talk about, we'll be glad to have you come on here.
Absolutely.
I don't care what your job may be. If it's something fascinating that you think would be an intriguing topic, by all means, contact us. We'd love to have you come on.
And Jeff, I think people should also know that you may have a surprise guest for us coming on. One of the original Glow Girls.
Yes. Yeah.
Tell everybody about that.
From season 4, I have been in contact with, from season 4, the one, the only Gremlina. She was one of the only managers and true managers that they had. And she was a manager of one of the taller females there named Daisy. And if you go back, like I said, Glow season 4, she is trained by Colonel Nanuchka. She was there during their last season run, and before they ended up going off the air, unfortunately, or whatever happened to them.
Right.
But she definitely has some pretty good stories there as far as her time there with the Glow and Vegas. And
yeah, and she's made herself available to us whenever we can squeeze her in.
Yes. Yeah.
And that's terrific.
Yeah.
So let me give everybody our social media.
Yeah.
We are on Facebook.com/Wrestling with the Future. You can reach our mailbox at wrestlingwiththefuture@yahoo.com. You can also send questions to wrestlingwiththefuture@gmail.com, so you can reach us on Gmail and Yahoo.
Yep.
You can find us on all major media platforms.
Yep.
The audio platforms are Google Play Music, Spotify, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, iTunes, Podbean. You can find our video format on YouTube/Wrestling with the Future. And, ta-da, brand new, we are on Stitcher. On Twitch TV. We are also on Twitch now, so you can find us on Twitch for our video.
Find us virtually any and everywhere.
Everywhere. Yes, sir.
So go ahead, hit those download, click that like button, give us a subscription. We need it. We appreciate it.
And we should also tell everybody, Jeff, all of our downloads are free.
Yes. And
will not be charged for a download, only for special shows.
Right. And we'll let you guys know when we're going to be doing those. We'll let you know when there's going to be a special show that we're going to do that we will be charging for. And but in the meantime, I think that about wraps it up.
All right, folks. Well, for Jeff the Ref, this is Psychic Angelo. Happy wrestling, everybody. We'll see you same time next week.
Goodbye, everybody.
Well,